Welcome to episode 116 of the Thriving Through podcast. My guest today has 14 years of self-employment, IBM and 3M on his resume, and a top 1% LinkedIn rating in sales and marketing. And he's struggling to convert because his ideal client profile, his ICP, is too broad. Diego Mangabeira is a self-employed sales and marketing consultant who has worked with Fortune 500 companies and Series A startups across 4 continents. He knows sales. He's been doing it for 14 years on his own. And like a lot of consultants I talk to, he's been trying to sell to everyone, which means, in his own word, he's selling to nobody. In this conversation, Diego walks through what a too broad ICP actually costs, not in theory, but in real 2017 engagement that destroyed his sleep and nearly his marriage before he finally walked away. He also makes a 3-part case for what happens when you go narrow for just 90 days. You know exactly who you're talking to, you understand their pain, and you close faster. And we get into something most sales consultants won't admit, that selling yourself is harder than selling for clients, even when you've been doing this for 14 years. My name is AJ Riedel. This is Thriving Through, the podcast where each week I have real conversations with self-employed consultants about what it really takes to build a profitable consulting practice. Let's dive in. Welcome to this episode of the Thriving Through podcast. Today, my guest is Diego Mangabeira. Diego, It's so good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks for having me, AJ.
So you've got 14 years of your own company. You've got IBM and 3M on the resume. In your headline, you are top 1% on LinkedIn in sales and marketing expert, and you're building SaaS tools on the side. So here's my question. When someone asks you what you do, what do you say?
Right. That's a great question. And thanks so much for that because most of the time when I try to explain, I'll say that I'm a giver. So I like to share everything that I have or learn or even accomplish, or even when I travel to other country, different culture, how I can also teach something that was really special for me for other person. I'll say that this is the concept of to be a polymath. So a polymath, yeah, polymath. So I always like to learn a lot of things. I have a lot of books behind me. So this is the way that I feel alive. But at the same time, even working with sales, as soon not as soon, but the more that you can learn, the better you are going to become. And on this case, you are always evaluating and evolving your humbleness or humility, and you are also always considering yourself in the other position. So that's easier for you to close a lead or a client when you understand his or her needs, or even what they need in terms of what they want at this time.
Okay. You're a top 1% LinkedIn sales marketing expert. How did that happen?
Yeah, that's a great point. Because I started using LinkedIn in 2005. So nobody at that time was using it. Nobody knew about LinkedIn. LinkedIn was LinkedIn. So it didn't belong to Microsoft. Microsoft bought it, as you know. And I started using it on a daily basis. I was at 3M that time. But I did some courses, so I would like also to understand how that social media was interacting with other professionals, because it started as a professional database or a professional social media, and it's still like that. I'll say that Facebook was the competitor for LinkedIn, but as you know, uh, there Facebook, I'll say, is an old social media at this time. It's they created the bottle under WhatsApp or Instagram, so they're trying to reinvent themselves, and
Mhm.
they missed the opportunity. So there are no other bigger professional social media. So that's why um, I I started learning also the tricks, the tips from other professionals, what they're doing. And LinkedIn is evolving so fast, so you need to follow every time, every single day. So there are newsletters, there the way that you post something. The algorithm is always changing, so you need to pick up the right pace. I'll say that LinkedIn is not for everybody because it has its own language, its own lingo, or even the way that you communicate. Most of the time, people, especially from sales or marketing, they start sending closing stuff. So basically, instead of creating relationships, they started doing some things that even for yourself you were not going to do. Even face to face, I'm not going to say some things for you, and they do. So yeah,
Mhm.
so it's like a tricky thing that you need to pay attention.
How did you apply for that? Because not, I mean,
Mhm.
I couldn't make that claim, that top 1% LinkedIn sales and marketing expert. Is that
Mhm.
something that you applied for through LinkedIn? And how did that
Oh,
particular designation come around?
right. That's a great point. So everybody can check his or her on index or rating. So it's called SSI, so Social Selling Index. You can try Google now, LinkedIn SSI, Social Selling Index, and then LinkedIn is going um, to help you to navigate between four components that are related to the this index.
Mhm.
And most of the time they're related to relationships or creation, the way that you communicate, the way that you use their tools, and also now they're also prioritizing who is using their premium packages like Recruiter. It could be Sales Navigator, or even other tools that they're testing. Because, for instance, LinkedIn Live, uh, it didn't exist in the past, but it didn't it created like a trend in the beginning, but nobody's using, but you can see some brands using it. But also in terms of reach is not so good, especially if competing with YouTube or Spotify. But
Mhm.
anyways, to your point, everybody can check that. And for me, I have the 1% on three levels, and between myself and my colleagues or peers inside sales, marketing, also with the other leads or clients, and also in the environment. And on this one, since it's bigger, because I'm competing with everybody in the world, most of the time that's really a problem because it's really heavy for most of the time to maintain that index or rating. But anyways, that's the way you can calculate, and that's why I am on this level or the elite from LinkedIn inside that this niche that's my expertise, sales and marketing.
Okay. When we talked earlier, you said
Hmm.
something that stuck with me. You described your ideal client profile, your ICP,
Hmm.
and you said it's C-levels, founders, SDRs, account executives across
Hmm.
SaaS and IT and startups.
Hmm.
Then you caught yourself and you said, that's too broad. When did you first realize that your ICP was perhaps too broad?
Hmm. Yeah, and when I was creating my products, the SaaS products that we discussed, because since I'm a sales expert, I can sell for everybody. But if you try everybody, you're not selling to anybody, right?
Hmm.
Most of the time, you're selling to nobody. So on that case, I was trying to remember who were my clients in the past. So which types of companies I sold, especially the SaaS or startups products that I worked with. and most of the time they were C-level. They were Series A, B, or C. They have some investments from VCs, venture capitals. Um, but most of the time they could have different job titles. They could have a C-level job title or a sales manager's job title. It depends from the size of the company. We're talking about headcount, but it's not going to be far from that.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you said exactly what I like to tell people is that when your
Hmm.
ICP is too broad, you're trying to sell to everybody, and
Yeah.
yet you are still looking at your LinkedIn profile, you're still pretty broad.
Hmm.
What is the cost to you, or has
Hmm.
there been a cost to you for being too having too broad an ICP?
Hmm.
Specifically, what has that cost you,
Yeah.
would you say?
Yeah, I'll say that lack of conversion, lack of sales conversions, right, on this case, and I'll say that that's really valid because we talked about it, and I'm reinventing myself, like the Phoenix myth that we discussed about the Greek mythology,
Hmm.
and I even alter my LinkedIn today because I'm launching my new newsletter that's called Boring Sales. That's more related to the methodology that I created throughout the years. I also have my newsletter on LinkedIn that's called The Eagle Sales, but now I'm migrating everything to boring sales. So I didn't touch my my first I forgot the name of that, but the title, right? The
The
title,
headline?
the
Yeah.
headline, perfect. The headline side LinkedIn, so I need to touch it. But I'll say that I'm doing that now, so I'm like a work in progress. But at the same time, I'm going to start the outreach. So once I start it, I'm going just to focus on this ICP that we're just discussing today, and then I can reevaluate what we're talking. And by the way, after our last conversation, I used Claude because you're
Uh-huh.
also using. Uh, to brainstorming with myself. Oh, she said a lot of great things. I need to evaluate a lot of things. And that was awesome because it helped me a lot just to uh, circle back to some things that I'm discussing with my team now. And anyways, everything that I'll say that time is really good because everything is happening for a reason. I believe in that. Yeah.
So give me a specific example of a maybe a prospect that you spent real time with who
Hmm.
turned out to be completely wrong for you.
Hmm.
What did that actually cost you in
Right.
time, money, energy, emotional,
Yeah,
whatever?
I can get back to 2017. I was more like a marketing consultant on those at that time. So I was inclined I was more inclined in digital marketing arena. And what happened was more I'll say it's more related to an employee employer relationship because I was a contractor, so I was helping them with their strategy, but at the same time, they understood that I was an employee, so they were calling me all the time. They did understand that the relationship was not based on in time, but was related to results. So that was really something I struggle for myself, especially a personal struggle. Even with my wife at that time, I was really stressful. Uh, I decided to quit. Yes, I abandoned that client because I was wasting my health because I was not sleeping at all, and I was not earning a lot of money. I was more like selling my time for money, and that doesn't go well if you stay in that MO for a while. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm. Hmm.
When we talked earlier, we were we were talking about the ICP. You lit
Hmm.
up when you described Series A, B startups specifically.
Hmm. Hmm.
What would it mean for your consulting revenue if you got laser focused on that segment for the next 90 days? Not saying that you
Well,
have to, but
mhm,
what, just, kind of imagine what it would
mhm,
mean for your consulting revenue if you laser focused on a single, very narrow
mhm.
niche.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Great point. That's better, I'll say, for three reasons. First, focus. So you know that your time is going to be invested in on that direction. Second,
Hmm.
the persona is really similar, so you know how to talk to him or her. You understand their pain points, constraints, and the third, it's easier to sell because since you know everything about his or her way or the industry, or even I'm talking about SaaS tech or AI, this world, right? This
Hmm.
IT world for me is it really easy to sell because I understand I'm not an engineer, I'm not a developer, but I'm a former IBMer. Before AI was created, I was developing this quantum computing who are, that are using now to create these GPUs that we're now talking NVIDIA and everything else. But anyways, to your point, it would be easier, faster, and smarter, yeah, to have that in my sales process.
And are you going to narrow down?
Yeah, that will. Because,
Okay.
like I said, everything happens for a reason, and you happen. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying because it's like, um, how can I say that? It's like some spiritual thing that happened. I believe in vibes, energy, and it happened the way when I was doing it. So, and since I was doing my updates on LinkedIn and you showed up and you asking me to be here with you and
Hmm.
your audience, yeah, why not, right? I think this is like a sign, right? A
Hmm.
sign that I need
Universe
to.
is tapping you on the shoulder saying, narrow your
Yeah, yeah,
ICP.
the universe. Uh-huh. Yeah, like the yes. And th thanks so much for yeah for everything. Yeah.
Yeah. You described and you mentioned it. We talked about it before, and you mentioned it just a few minutes ago. You described yourself as a phoenix, and that
Yep.
you've reinvented yourself multiple times over the 14 years.
Hmm.
Now, what I find interesting is that most people would look at your LinkedIn profile, your resume, and they'd say, "This guy has it all figured out." But reinventing that many times usually means something wasn't working.
Hmm.
So, what kept triggering the restarts, the reinventions? Tell me a little bit more about.
Hmm. Right. No, that's good. Good. Imagine that on this reinvention. And by the way, there's a quote from Confucius from Lao Tzu that says that's 500 before Christ. The only constant from the universe is change or motion. It depends from the translation. So that's my motto. So I believe in that. And to your point, basically the change was related to geography. So I'm a sales guy. So I sold for Latin American countries, Brazil because I'm Brazilian, to US most of the time. I'm working and I worked with the US, European clients, Asian Pacific. So we're talking about a Japanese, a Chinese, a Indian, a person from India. Africa is really hard because of the development, sometimes some random countries, and Australia and New Zealand. So when we're talking about geographically, there are a lot of nuances or even changes that you need to do. So that's one of the things that happened with myself, especially because I speak a lot of languages. So you need to also use your brain to speak different languages. So that's some I'm learning Italian now, but I learn German, French, English, Brazilian Portuguese, Spanish, Japanese, Chinese. So I always like to learn to develop my brain in different ways. About my professional experiences, they were in different companies, so there are also different cultures, different visions of world. To work, I always advise that if you like to do college, go to college. If you like not to go to college, understand that there are people who are in college, so you need to be humble enough to also understand and to respect. Okay, so
Mhm.
did go to college. I did go to Harvard. So I'm always trying to learn. I even enrolled to another course from Harvard last weekend because I need to update myself, right? It was agentic AI. Anyways, um, and when we're doing that process, there are some things that are aligned with ourselves, but sometimes they are not. So there were some companies that I was loving working with them, but they decided to either move on another direction. So I was part of the layoff process, or even I was hired in different company. Okay, but one thing that always happened with me is to follow my heart, my vision, or my soul, right? And that I think I didn't share with you, but in 2013, I almost died. I was
Mhm.
doing MRI exam. I was really good about money. I have everything. I was an IBMer at that time, and everything seemed fine. But at the same time, I was with 28, but I didn't see. Today I see that, but at that time I wasn't aware that I was not following what I was capable of doing. So I was kind of restricting myself. And this is in the news in the hospital. So there was a global I'll say everybody was aware, and even the New York Times that news that article was published. But anyways, from 80 people, okay, 80 people, 3 people died, and I was one of these 80 people that participated on that exam. And for me, it was like a life-changing process. And then I started doing what we're talking now. It's about this change and this movement. Uh, I don't stop. Okay, I always try to increase myself. I'm a high performer. That's why I'm not. I don't like to be stuck, and I don't wait for my peers, bosses, or anybody else to point uh, the, the the finger to me to do that or do the other way around. I
Mhm.
always leading. This is my way, and then I decided to do a lot of things in parallel. And but that's me, right? I cannot consider myself as a role model because I'll say everybody's looking for a salary, a paycheck, or even for stability. I'm not looking for that. Okay, so I'll say it's more like what's your culture, vision, values, and but you need to believe in yourself and then go. But it's not motivational. That's why it's boring because you need to do everything day by day. Okay, and that's sales. That's all the time. I'll say that I'll consider a metaphor like a warrior. A sales person is a warrior because most of the time he will be defeated. He will receive a lot of no's, more no's than yeses,
Mhm.
and you need to keep going. Mhm.
Do you um do you find I hear this from other consultants who are in sales and marketing is that it is really easy to help other people do sales and marketing, but when it comes to marketing, sales and marketing of you, that
Mhm.
it's a whole different ball. It's a whole different game, and that it's harder. Do you find that?
Yeah, yeah. That's something that can happen. I'll say that I'm facing that again because I did that a lot of times with myself, and I think the fear because you're changing another thing different, right? And e- everything again, right? It's like that even the imposter syndrome. It happened. It happens again, right?
Hmm.
So you need to be not naive, but you need to insist. On this case, you need to insist. You need to go figure or to show yourself over and over again for you to believe in. It's more physical because most of the time that emotion. So if we're talking about NLP, so you are going to make yourself uh, looking for that subconscious mind process. So you're going to feel to look for security. It's okay where you are, but you need to struggle yourself. No, go for another mile, go in a different direction. You're going on the right direction. I was even today I was at gym and I was listening to a podcast about that. And this is a process. It's like the journey, but
Hmm.
inside the journey, to your point, you need also to achieve something. And most of the time, we can do that for other people, but we need to recognize that we're good. We're also good. And since we're grateful for whom we are, we need also to allow ourselves to grow or to sell more for ourselves. And that's, I'll say this is more like, or the chicken and the egg or bread and butter. You need to also decide that both of them need to exist and in symphony, right? And it's not like a symphony.
You mentioned that you struggled early on with shyness, and that back then, the idea that you could get in front of C levels and founders felt almost impossible. And you said you've done a lot of work on that.
Hmm.
And it kind of relates to what you were just talking about. What I'd like to ask is, where does that shyness or that imposter syndrome still show up?
Right. Yeah. I was going to, yeah, just to let you know, everything changed in 2010, but for instance, I use glasses most since I was a child, so there were the glasses. Also, I use braces
Hmm.
because for 7 years. So my self-esteem was not so great, even with women, right? Before my wife, anyways, I didn't have that confidence as well. And there are a lot of things that even at college and university, I have that baby tooth. Okay, so that was really strange or even embarrassing thing that I still have, and I was, I don't know, 20s. And anyways, I didn't like to smile. I was really shy. I was really smart, intelligent. That's okay. I love books, right? But could I be different? That was my thing. And in 2010, I decided to use contact lens, and I removed my braces, and then I was like like that, like this. Okay, okay, but without the beard, anyways, mustache, anyways. But what should I do now? And then I started looking for something different. And then I started looking for personal development courses, books. I started recording my own podcast. So I'm a podcaster since 2013.
Wow.
So yeah, and that really is really helpful. I also have English, Spanish, and Brazilian Portuguese podcasts since then. And I cannot say that this is just for your ego or brand or to sell more, but it's an exercise because you need to think and fast about what
Hmm.
you're going to talk, but at the same time you learn how to say words. It's like a child that's learning a new language. So that's really helpful for me to increase my self-esteem, to believe in what I was able to share, and then that was it. And then I was able to sell to C level and other folks. Mhm.
Okay. You've built multiple revenue streams.
Mhm. Yes.
What does winning look like or success look like for you right now?
Right. That's a great point. Um, Success basically is like I believe in the Tao, right? Yin Yang. So it's like a polarity, right? Even there's the book Kybalion. That's the about the hermetism, and there's also the polarity. So, success is like the journey, but is also the end. So you need to unify. That's not an easy task. So I'm just saying that because this is the way that I believe that it is. You need to follow the journey, but at the same time you need to have achievements. I will say I remember two concepts that Tony Robbins taught in 2013 that's related to fulfillment and achievement. That basically what I do believe that we are struggling today because we're only looking for achievement. That is money in your pocket, a big house, big mansion, Ferrari in your on your at garage in at your garage. Anyways, but that's just achievement, or even job title, or even top 1% sales expert on LinkedIn. That's just achievement. But fulfillment, can you see yourself increasing throughout the years? Can you see you getting not just older, but getting wiser, better as a human being, as a person, as a professional? Even I always look for the triad that's body, mind, and spirit, or even religion, the way you want to call it. So if you're increasing the three aspects from your life, I think you're doing a good job. Uh, but at the same time, if you're just looking for the body, right, your mind is not so good. So you're going to talk about a lot of BS. If you're
Mhm.
just looking for the mind, you're not being preoccupied by your body, with your body. So your body is lacking something, probably you're going to have a disease or a cancer. If you're just a spiritual person, okay, peace and that's it, you're forgetting something about this material world. So, anyways, I'll say this is more related to this holistic approach of life. So, success is like that. And we need to accomplish everything at the same time. Yes, that's why success is a concept. For a person, is just money, but I'll say money is just one of the parts of it.
So, what is success for you? What are the parts of success? If you look back at the end of this year and say it was a successful year,
Right.
what does that look like?
Yeah, I have my goal. So success for me is to achieve the five biggest goals that I have for the year. Yeah, and this is relates to money.
Mhm.
So revenue. That's why we're discussing. This is awesome because we're accomplished I think two or three goals there because we're talking about annual revenue. How I'm going to reach that number when. So we are now coming through the middle of the year. So basically, I could say if we're closer or not. And the other ones are related to some things that are going to support that 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 yeah. But money is just an extension of yourself, and I see myself increasing a lot on that end. So that's why the business goals for me are more important.
Okay. And
hmm
how are you doing on that revenue goal? Because we are about halfway through the year. Are
hmm
you on track to meet your revenue goals for the year?
Um, yes, I'll say that I am, but since I was involved in a lot of changes on the company that I was working as a contractor as well,
Mhm.
I need to redirect my path, but at the same time doing the same work. But since the processes change, I need also to make sure that we're going to sell everything again. So, bottom line, I'm going to do everything that I was doing, but at the same time, it's a new environment, so it takes time. So that's why our conversation is really uh, in a big in the best time ever because since I have more time with myself, since I'm waiting for the other part, I can invest my time in some things like we're discussing now, like to accelerate these sales processes from my companies, from my business, and at the same time my two SaaS products because I didn't sell them yet because I was thinking about the MVP, the business models, anyways, and maybe to postpone something that I was supposed to have done in the beginning of the year, right? But anyways, that's why I strongly believe that I need to do now since I'm waiting for the other part. Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
If you could go back and tell the version of you back in 2012, if you were starting out in 2012, knowing what you know now, what one thing would change the trajectory In other words, what's the one thing that you wish you'd known?
Right. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I'll say that do not try to imitate the others. Try to be yourself. And I've heard a lot of things, and I quit a lot of times. And my mother always said that to me that when I was doing my work or the way that I believe things were supposed to be or to go, someone showed up, and then I basically went in on another direction. Anyways, so you need to be more confident about yourself and go from it. And yeah, that's it. Eat the frog and go.
Eat the frog. Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
Brian Tracy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thank you
hmm
so
Bro.
much for meeting with me today and being on the interview on the podcast. And for those of you listening, until next time, keep thriving through. The moment that stuck out the most for me from this conversation was when Diego said it flat out, if you try to sell to everybody, you're selling to nobody. He's been in sales for 14 years. He has IBM and 3M on his resume. And he still caught himself with an ideal client profile, an ICP, so broad, it's costing him conversions. That's not a beginner mistake. That's one of the most common traps in consulting. And it's one of the main reasons a lot of consultants stay stuck under six figures longer than they should. Diego, thanks for sharing how you're building your profitable consulting practice and for being honest about what is still a work in progress. If you want to connect with Diego, check the show notes for his website, LinkedIn, and his what he calls his boring sales newsletter. Before I let you go, a quick question. When was the last time you took a hard look at your LinkedIn profile? Not to update it, but to actually evaluate whether it's doing its job. Here's the thing most consultants miss. Your profile is the landing page for every connection and outreach message you send. Someone gets your connection request, they click your profile. That decision, accept or ignore, happens in about 5 seconds. Your message got them there, your profile decides what happens next. Most consultants spend hours on their outreach copy and really very little time on the profile that your copy is pointing to. That's backwards. I've created a LinkedIn profile assessment specifically for self-employed consultants. I go through your profile section by section, headline, banner, photo, about, featured, experience, recommendations, skills. I score it and identify your top 3 fixes ranked by impact. No fluff, no generic advice, just a clear picture of what's working and what's costing you business and money. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes. You walk away knowing exactly what to fix and why it matters. If you want to get a second set of eyes on your LinkedIn profile to see how effective it is, book your meeting, your assessment meeting right now. The link to book is in the show notes. Right now, I'm testing this new assessment and it's free, but it's not going to be free forever. So go to the show notes right now and click the link to book your assessment. And until next time, keep thriving through.